If you were to ask a bunch of people to name the most iconic classic games, you'll no doubt hear the name Space Invaders pop up more than a few times. Taito's pioneering 1978 sci-fi shooter set the template for more complex shoot-'em-ups and quickly established itself as an instant classic. Later iterations in the series provided interesting variations on the original formula, cementing Space Invaders as a beloved and storied game series well worthy of its place in the annals of gaming history. Such a prolific video game franchise surely deserves a compilation that honours this to the correct degree. So the question is, does Space Invaders' Invincible collection live up to the franchise's pedigree? I'm the Kosmic Collector, and welcome to Kosmic Kompilations. You might be new here, so I'll briefly explain how this works. We're going to take a look at a game compilation and rank it on 5 different aspects to figure out how good the package is as a whole. Today, we're taking a look at Inin and Taito's 2020 release, Space Invaders Invincible collection for the Nintendo Switch. Space Invaders Invincible collection includes the original Space Invaders, both the black and white and colour versions, Space Invaders Part 2, both versions of Super Space Invaders 91, Space Invaders DX, Space Invaders Extreme, Space Invaders Gigamax 4 SE, Arkanoid vs Space Invaders, as well as 2 games which utilise the original Space Invaders board. While this initially sounds like a pretty expansive list, it's by no means a comprehensive set, and is actually fairly scant in comparison to other compilations. There are no console games apart from Extreme, that is, unless you pre-ordered the game, in which case Space Invaders 90 for the Mega Drive is included. That's a really shady practice in my opinion, and kind of a confusing move for an already bare-bones game collection. As a quick aside, there is also a smaller compilation called Space Invaders Forever. It's available on the PS4 as well as the Switch, and features the newer 3 games in this collection. As for what is here, it's all perfectly fine. Space Invaders is still fun to play, and the newer games provide some fun variations on the formula and cool graphical choices. Space Invaders Extreme is probably the main attraction here for sure. It's ported from the Steam remaster, so no jaggy PSP textures here. I would also like to shout out Arkanoid vs Space Invaders. It's a mobile game, playable only on the Switch's touchscreen. It's cool to see a mobile game with all the nasty monetization stuff stripped out on a console, honestly. In my opinion, it feels like a cool move for game preservation, and I'd like to see more of it. Emulation is fine across the board, as it should be, and supports rotating the display, which is a nice touch. So it's a solid set of games, emulated well, but I can't help feeling there could be a little more on offer here. Many of these are older games, and might not hold your attention for long. There are way more cool and interesting games in this franchise, and if the list were more comprehensive, I think it'd be more compelling as a collection. Game list gets a 3 out of 5. Next we take a look at all the game enhancements and extra features that this compilation offers. It's a pretty insubstantial list, but there are a couple of things worth noting. Button mapping and save states are present and accounted for, and there are some nice how to play screens for each game. Display-wise, we see the standard size and scanline settings as well as the aforementioned rotation option. There's also a fairly neat challenge mode and dip switch settings available. And that's your lot. It's not bad by any means, and is about everything you could do with these games. Much like the game list, it's serviceable, but maybe leaves something to be desired. 3 out of 5. Next, we take a look at the museum content present in this game. For a game so embedded in the annals of gaming history, there's bound to be a wealth of neat archival content to check out. Let's take a look at what there is. Yeah, there's nothing to speak of, like, at all. Not even so much as a cover art. At a stretch, there are some brief text descriptions of each game. It's rough. At the asking price of this collection, which we'll get to, this really doesn't feel like enough at all. Bonus content like this always helps to add value and context to the games you're playing, as well as make the case for a compilation being more than just a collection of ROMs. There should be plenty of archival material for a game series as established as this, and it would have been good to see some here, but it wasn't meant to be. A flat 0 out of 5 for museum content. Next up, presentation. I don't like being too negative for too long, so I'm glad we've come to what is most likely my favourite part of this compilation on the whole. Poor presentation is something that a lot of compilations slip up on, and I'm happy to say that this isn't the case here. The game selection menu is super readable and navigable, and looks nice to boot. I also like the menu music they've gone for. They've not done anything super above and beyond, and I don't love the way the in-game menus look, but we're splitting hairs at this point. It's a perfectly solid effort, and I can't find much to fault here. A strong 4 out of 5 for presentation. And, unfortunately, to bring things back down a little, we'll talk about the price of this compilation and whether I think it's worth the asking price as a package. Space Invaders Invincible Collection is only available digitally on the Nintendo eShop and is currently priced at $60 or around £55. That's almost the price of a brand new AAA game. It's around the same price plus shipping for the physical version, which is only available via the strictly limited games site. Frankly, this compilation just does not live up to that asking price. There are far better compilations out there which retailed for much cheaper at launch and offer far more in terms of game variety and extra features. Look no further than Atari 50 or the Ninja Turtles collection which I recently reviewed, or any of the Mega Man collections available, for just a couple of examples. I just cannot fathom why the retail price is so high for this collection. I won't get too deep into it, but this all seems to be standard practice for this publisher. Inin are under the same parent company as Strictly Limited Games, and they seem to enjoy making the most skank collections possible and charging pretty unbelievable prices for them. It's not a worthless compilation by any means, and if you can maybe pick it up on sale, or secondhand as I did, I would recommend it if you're into your classic arcade games. Space Invaders Forever is cheaper and available at retail, so if you just wanted to play Extreme, then definitely go for that. But the lack of content and unassuming game lists don't make this compilation a great value proposition at all. I am giving value a 1 out of 5. This totals up to give Space Invaders Invincible Collection a total score of 11 out of 25.
Oh no!
So, that's Space Invaders Invincible Collection. I love Space Invaders and I don't like being too much of a downer, but I have to say it's not one of the better compilations available. It's Space Invaders and that's about it. If you know that's what you're getting into and you don't mind the steep asking price, then I suppose you could do worse. But for anyone seeking out some classic games on a modern console, I wouldn't recommend making this your first stop. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this and want to see me review more compilations or just do more cool retro gaming-y stuff, then please do leave a comment. I hope eventually we see something a little more fleshed out. Taito's games as a whole deserve something of a higher caliber than what we've been seeing from Inin in my opinion. Thanks again for watching, see ya!